The Best of Our Knowledge explores topics on learning, education, and research. On today's program, we'll learn about how one research institution is looking to accommodate students with different styles of learning. An online school based in the Bronx is graduating hip-hop lyricists, and the Vermont State College system is reversing a plan to remove books from shelves and create digital libraries. I'm Lucas Willard. It's all next on The Best of Our Knowledge. This is The Best of Our Knowledge. I'm Lucas Willard. The COVID-19 pandemic disrupted the classroom and laid bare the differences in learning styles of students, with many college-age learners struggling to connect with traditional teaching methods. Investments at one upstate New York institution are intended to reach students in new ways. The Best of Our Knowledge and WAMC National Productions intern Christian Heinz reports.
Last November, the Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute launched the Mercer X Lab, a new way of promoting non-traditional teaching methods at the school. The original Mercer Lab, unveiled in 2012, is located within RPI's J. Eric Johnson Engineering Center. A small classroom space filled with electrical devices and machines, it was developed thanks to a $500,000 gift from 1977 graduate and RPI Fellow Emeritus Doug Mercer. A pioneer in analog-to-digital technology, with a career that spans more than 4 decades, Mercer saw a need for change in the Institute's academic ecosystem.
One of the things that I had noticed is that the students were really struggling when we would ask questions about just a course that they had taken last semester. There's a thing on their resume, and we would say, okay, tell me about what you did in this class or what you thought was interesting, and then we'd dive into some more detail about that.
With a new $2 million gift from Mercer, the funds will have an impact beyond the lab space. RPI hopes the X Lab will bring students and faculty together to share ideas and tinker in fields like robotics and electrical engineering. X Lab currently includes the existing physical classroom and a planned online portal which would give staff and students individualized levels of access to resources. X Lab's director, Shayla Sawyer, a professor of electrical, computer, and systems engineering at RPI, envisions the new concept will make the space, as well as online resources and services, available for everyone on campus and beyond.
The X Lab is looking to kind of pollinate or cross-pollinate ideas across schools and departments and potentially across universities. So I'm really, really excited about this idea of extending knowledge. The X in X Lab partly represents multiplication. Like, as people come together, how do we multiply great ideas? And it's about that interconnection, again, between schools, between pedagogical ideas, and across departments.
Student leader Kate Bennett, an RPI MBA candidate and the 156th Grand Marshal, has been a proponent of the university's embrace of new teaching methods.
There's all types of thinkers, all types of learners. The part that went into the Mercer Laboratory is this idea of exploratory education and developing slowly but surely a classroom where everybody is set up for success. Lectures are easy, right? People who learn by listening to information, easy. We got that in lectures. What's harder is the piece where you've got a bunch of students who don't learn from lectures and who learn from tinkering and playing with something, seeing what happens, changing the orientation of a capacitor and looking at what happens then. So that's what the Mercer X Lab is working to do, is to create a environment for people to do exploratory learning. That way we have all of our classrooms best situated and set up our students for success.
For Dagan Fuss, a senior majoring in electrical engineering and applied mathematics, the shift from by-the-book learning to a more hands-on, collaborative approach has been especially helpful.
I was diagnosed when I was younger as dyslexic, so my learning style has always been avoiding words at all costs.
Fuss finds the methods encouraged with the Mercer X Lab allow him to solve engineering problems in a way that simply following a lab manual just doesn't.
Because you learn the material, you have a set number of restrictions, but still enough of flexibility to do what you want.
With the online portal still under construction, RPI is also seeking to add new physical equipment, software, and more physical space, with expansions to continue over the summer. It's these developments which school president Marty Schmidt says mark a turning point for the university.
Indeed, the capital region is fast becoming a hub of the most innovative and necessary technology of our time. So the timing for the launch of the Mercer X Lab could not be better. It will foster a learning ecosystem that actively engages faculty, students, and staff in an educational experiment to amplify the learning experience of RPI students.
For the best of our knowledge, I'm Christian Heinz.
You're listening to The Best of Our Knowledge. I'm Lucas Willard. Starting a career as a hip-hop artist can be challenging, with few dedicated mentors and even fewer clear pathways to success. One veteran MC from the Bronx is looking to share his knowledge and expertise through an accredited online curriculum. Mark Williams, perhaps better known as the Grammy Award-winning songwriter Mickey Fax, has had a 15-year career in hip-hop, with an emphasis on elevation. He's now Dean of Students of Pendulum Inc. The school graduated its first class in February. Fax says his goal is to teach MCs the tools of the trade, while presenting a framework for financial stability. In addition to teaching students about lyricism, the unique program also aims to help MCs understand music business and nurture mental health through art. The Best of Our Knowledge's Jody Cowan spoke with Fax, who said Pendulum Inc. came out of a question: what's next?
I'm not blessed enough to have a hit record or a platinum record. I have a lot of the accolades due to me being a songwriter and a ghostwriter, but I am not, at that level to where I can amass a big fortune. And I just wanted to make sure that my family and I were secure. And I wanted to get into teaching at the university level. And I kept hearing no. So I took it upon myself to start my own master class, which then turned into a full-fledged school.
You were saying you were getting these no's. What were the reasons behind some of the no's?
A lot of the reasons were, you can't teach rap. I don't have a degree. And I think the scope of what academia looked like for hip hop wasn't ready for a writing course in that vein. There was never any structure or syllabi or curriculum or course track for it. We had to create it. And once myself and my team got together, we created this platform and this particular applied science that is now Pendulum Inc.
And are billing Pendulum Inc. as the first school for lyricism in hip-hop. You guys have accredited at least 35 different copyrights just on rap technique alone. How did you quantify and break down these different techniques?
Well, a lot of it is intention. And myself and my co-founder, Chilla Jones, we have been coining terms for about a decade on our own. And that was our way to simplify what it is that we were writing. Not knowing we were planting the seeds to be where we are today. So when it was time to put together the lexicon, we just went through a whole bunch of artists' music. He does this type of writing. What is this? How can we define this? And we began to break it down like a science. And from that science, we know how to write it out. And from that, we were able to teach it and allow for our cohort to identify it as well, how we do it.
When you're applying some of the curriculum to, let's say, rap music, these same parameters, can you apply this to any form of literature or Shakespeare or any other different styles of music? Or are there certain rules and guidelines in the science breakdown here that really only apply to rap music?
Well, that's a great question. So we have our curriculum editor, Roberto Santos, who is in the poetic world. He was a tenured professor at the University of El Paso, and he has his master's in fine arts, language, and poetry. So when we brung him on, he was able to say, okay, what you're doing here is done here in the poetic world, but it's called this. Like in hip hop, there are really no rules. So something like enjambment you have let's say you have a 2-syllable word like wordplay. They can only do enjambment at the end of a line. So if the line is, I'm walking down the block and I say a word, play around if you want to, and you'll be with the birds, right? And please don't judge me for that freestyle right there. But wordplay is the word that we were just using, right? And that is called enjambment. So word ends the line and play starts the next line. We call that corner bending. In hip hop, we can do enjambment or corner bending anywhere we want. Whereas opposed to in poetry, you can only do enjambment at the end of a line. And MCs do things like that and other things throughout the poetic world. And we have created terms that don't exist in the poetic world as well. We were able to identify these things and create how-to guides in order to do it.
What do things like schoolwork and homework look like?
Man, schoolwork and homework are quintessential here at Pendulum Ink. Like you have to, we give you homework every single day. For me, it's about, wanting people to be able to identify what it is that they're listening to and be able to properly navigate through the space of academia and what it is that they are writing and listening to. So here right now is, our final exam that we had. It was a 50-question multiple choice, right? What is the pendulum ink term for a bar that can be read forwards and then backwards as a punchline? That would obviously be a reverse punchline, right? What is the pendulum ink term for a bar that can be interpreted two completely different ways with the help of homophones and splicing? That would be a mirror morph, right? And we do this all the way down, right? Allowing for our students to, be able to understand what it is that they learned over the course of 8 months. Then here we have the fill in the blank situation, right? This is a song that is basically us using every technique that we have, identified in our lexicon. And it was 48 bars, and they had to find out what line I did interlinking, what line I did splicing, what line I did corner bending, shadow boxing, reverse punchline, riveting. They had to be able to identify that and then submit this test, to us, right? And then from there, they had to write an essay, right? That was the third part of their test, their final exam. And then the fourth part of their exam was to write a 16 bars over the school beat of that year. And we grade them from that level.
Who do you think is the ideal student for Pendulum Ink?
There is a myriad of students that can apply for Pendulum Ink. Now, we do place students in different spaces due to their skill set. So we have poets, we have novices, and we have advanced MCs. A lot of times we have people that don't even rap, and they kind of just come in to learn the techniques, to learn the syllabus, and to learn the lexicon. I think it's important for people to learn it from the people who have done it at this high level of writing and being able to break it down in this space so that they can take it to the next level. We're not promising people careers in hip hop. We're promising people that they are going to be better and more knowledgeable in what they're hearing and what they're identifying with a potential placement in music or in academia. We want to be able to create an industry where you can teach hip hop through our lexicon and through our syllabi and be able to take care of your family. That is my ultimate dream, to create this education/hip hop academia space where I can't be at the University of Seattle and UNLV and Harvard and the University of Miami. But if a student is from Seattle and we have another student from UNLV and another student from Miami and another student in Boston, we can potentially get them hired in these spaces through our curriculum. And I think that is the most important part here that people are not really paying attention to.
How do you think you're reaching students as far as the idea that this is a good idea, that this is a worthy investment for their career paths, for their life paths?
So Bun B, who was our commencement speaker, he said that we were changing people's lives on a humanitarian level. He saw grown men and grown women crying, being able to express themselves lyrically. Through our rhymecology course that is taught by Professor Jeff Walker, who is a mental health specialist, we were able to tap into a lot of people's emotions on top of their lyrical expertise or their delivery style, which was taught by Professor Cam. And for me, it's important to show that we can't get you a record deal. I can open up my Rolodex and call somebody and say, hey, would you want to sign this guy? And it's not up to me, it's up to you and the person who potentially may sign you. But what we can do is we can help you become a better writer, a better artist, and a better human being, right? Finding yourself in your artistry. That is what we are here to do. And if you want to work with us and for us, there are new opportunities every day happening and coming to us because this does not exist. What we have created does not exist. We are the only ones that do this. We've created a monopoly within ourselves. There are people that have writing camps and songwriting courses, and they have, you can go on YouTube and learn how to rhyme and flow and things like that. We have things that you will just not see. And for me, that's what makes this art form important and this business model important.
If I wasn't enrolled in a whole semester, could I drop into a class or just kind of, hey, this Rod Digger is my favorite. I need to just hear what she has to say about this thing. Can I drop into one session?
Yes, you can drop into any of the legendary guest classes, and you can even drop into an elective class. The only classes that you can't drop into are the core classes: songwriting, rhymecology, which is the mental health space, rap theory 101, 102, advanced rap theory, and advanced techniques. Those are for core students. We have 6 core classes and 9 electives. We have, debate teams. Lastly, we have amazing MCs that are co-teaching in terms of the legendary guests. So this year, we have Ransom, we have RJ Payne, we have Pharaoh Monch, we have Rod Digger, Shauna, DMC, Lord Finesse, Rockness Monster, Wordsworth, Big Boy from Outkast, Big Crit, Killer Mike, Twista, Bun B, Benny the Butcher, everybody you could think of. And Black Thought is the commencement speaker for 2024. And we are looking to constantly and continuously elevate this culture.
You mentioned you just had your first graduating class. This past year, you were doing everything online, and I noticed that you're getting into in-person classes now.
So we're going to probably do a couple more in-person classes in different cities, but for the most part, everything will remain online. We have a global student base. So we had people fly in from Lebanon, India, South Africa. We had somebody fly in from Greece and Mexico and Canada. So for us, it's best that we have the in-person classes during an event that we set up, like graduation. Everything else will be handled online until we do get a brick and mortar. Now, the brick and mortar for me, my goal is to have Hip Hop City created, with the first plan and benchmark being the Hip Hop Museum in the Bronx. In a perfect world, I would have the Hip Hop School, Pendulum Inc., right next to the Hip Hop Museum. 4 floors of only things dealing with hip hop. Potentially the basement or the 4th floor would be where the music is at. The 3rd floor would basically be classrooms. 2nd and 3rd floor would be classrooms. 1st floor would be all admin stuff. And for me, I would want people to attend this school. I would even want some dormitory stuff for the school. Like, I want to be able to create a space for people to come to and create this cycle and churn out hip hop professors and send them to different schools across the country and the world, right? I want to be able to put a student in Maine, and in Portland, Oregon, and in Dallas, Texas, and New Mexico, and in England. Like, I want to be able to do that for hip hop. That is my overall goal. I want to be that person that has stamped his legacy through academia and hip hop.
Is the goal here to create better rappers or to create teachers?
Both. I definitely create a better rapper because you have the understanding of what it is that we're doing. And then also creating teachers. We're starting 2 other companies, Pendulum Sync, which is the production side of teaching, right? We want to teach you how to make beats, right? And how to be in the realm of engineering and learning what the science of that aspect looks like, as well as Pen Pals, teaching children between the ages of 6 and 18 years old about hip hop from STEM, architecture, and a writing standpoint. We were lucky enough to have a contract with Frederick Pilot Middle School in Boston, and we just renegotiated to renew it We are the official after-school program for them through Pendulum Inc. until Pen Pals is established. And what we do is our focus is to teach them better writing skills through hip hop, teach them team building through hip hop, teach them public speaking through hip hop, as well as the mental health space in hip hop, being able to have them express themselves. Children are developing at a faster rate than adults. So it's great to be able to infiltrate them through the space of hip hop and to connect with them from that standpoint. And what we do is we allow them to, write their rhymes, perform their rhymes. Some of them are shy. Some of them don't want to express themselves. But being that hip hop for children in inner cities and even in bigger cities, they love the culture of hip hop and they want to know about hip hop. So we're teaching STEM through hip hop. We're going to be teaching architecture through hip hop, as well as writing and mental health.
What are your hopes for your graduating class?
Most of them have re-enrolled into the school. They see the value in the school, so they have came back for year 2. And for me, it is a 2-year program for advanced level MCs, and it is a 4-year program for novices. It is important that they understand that this is an investment into who they are as a community, and they will become alumni after this year. And if they want to gain, some employment within our structure or in their neighboring spaces, we can potentially provide that. And if they want to become artists, we will facilitate that in our best of abilities.
That's Mark Williams, also known as Grammy Award-winning hip-hop artist Mickey Fax. Fax is the Dean of Students of the online lyricism school of Pendulum Inc., which graduated its first class earlier this year. You're listening to The Best of Our Knowledge. In February, The Best of Our Knowledge brought you the story of a plan being considered by the Vermont State College system, Go Digital. The controversial plan was to create digital libraries while cutting staff and removing physical books at its 4 campuses. Now, after some fierce opposition, plans have changed. Recently, the interim president of the Vermont State University reversed the plan by the system's previous president. The Best of Our Knowledge's Pat Bradley reports.
The plan was announced in early February as part of cost cutting as the Vermont State College transitions into the Vermont State University on July 1st. It was met with immediate opposition. On April 14th, less than a year after being named president of the new system, Dr. Parwinder Graywall resigned. Trustees named Mike Smith interim president. On Monday, Smith announced to the Vermont State University Board of Trustees he is reversing Graywall's plans to cut back libraries and athletics.
I'm going to recommend keep athletics as is for the next 3 years and to develop performance metrics to gauge success in those areas. The second issue I want to talk about, libraries are for books. Number 1, withdrawing the RIF notices. Number 2, continuing the process, which is normal library process of streamlining the collection. And a lot of work has been done in that regard. A lot more has to be done. Work with the various unions of how we accomplish that, and then move on towards transformation.
The Vermont State Employees Association was critical of the original plan. President Amy Town says Smith's move is crucial, as she recalls a Vermont State College librarian who faced the loss of her job under the original plan.
One of our members has worked in the library for 40 years, and while she spoke to our members regarding the proposal, she was emotional and didn't speak to losing her job per se. She was more concerned for the students and how the libraries are the campus centers for so many of these students and how just disappointing the proposal was. I think our members have taken just like a sigh of relief But there's still so many things that potentially could happen that it's hard to celebrate when there are so many unknowns.
Rutland Republican State Senator Brian Collmore had introduced a bill that would prohibit the system from closing or reducing the operations of libraries or reducing the number of employees on any of the campuses without legislative approval. He is heartened by Smith's announcement to halt the plan.
The bill is still technically a live bill. The Senate Education Committee did take what I consider some substantial testimony. I don't know that we need to do too much more with it. I trust that President Smith will come up with his plan to go forward, but he's made it clear that he feels that a library does mean physical books as well. So I think there'll be some sort of combination of, physical books in the library and then the digital services as well. And all in all, very heartened by it. I applaud the decision.
Smith told the Board of Trustees the revised library policy would be implemented quickly. Reporting for the best of our knowledge, I'm Pat Bradley.
Coming up on the next episode of The Best of Our Knowledge, a new study details how many students seeking a 4-year college degree actually complete their studies. Vassar College President Elizabeth Bradley authored the report.
What we found is colleges and universities vary tremendously in their graduation rates. Some are graduating 90% of students who start. Some are graduating like less than a quarter of students who start. And on average, colleges are graduating just about 51% of the students who actually start the college.
More on the next episode of The Best of Our Knowledge. And we welcome your feedback. You can contact the show by emailing knowledge@wamc.org. This has been The Best of Our Knowledge, episode 1703. The Best of Our Knowledge is a national production of WAMC Northeast Public Radio. Thanks to associate producer Jody Cowan. Our executive producer is Dr. Alan Chartok. The latest on all National Productions programs is available via the Airwaves newsletter and our flagship station's website, WAMC.org. Until next time, I'm Lucas Willard.